Kuz with a steal. Ahead to Poole. Poole off the backboard to Kuzma. He slams. Crowd here at State Farm Arena not happy with that Harlem Globetrotter play.
Well, Poole didn't know our start time.
You're right.
That's why he was taking that jump shot.
Question: is highlight culture ruining basketball? We have 9-year-old kids who are 4'5" flexing, ironically telling the other team that they're too small, and glancing at the camera after every play. We just watched an off the backboard lob followed by a high five as if they actually just did something. They're still down 19 in the third quarter. But that's okay, because they got their highlight. Where has the respect for the game of basketball gone? Playing in the NBA is a privilege. Earning the honor to suit up alongside the best basketball players on the planet and earn a great lump sum of money while doing so. Has there been a decline for the love of the sport and an increase for the love of the lifestyle and popularity that the sport can give you? The main content surrounding basketball online is littered with unbelievable highlights of the game's best players. Ant-Man sends Dario Saric to the graveyard. Check out this 35-foot three from Ice Trey. He's like that. All anyone wants to see nowadays are highlights. The hundreds of accounts online making sure that you see them, and the NBA is no exception. To promote their product, which is basketball, what better way than handpicking the best plays and throwing dozens of highlights out to the masses in hopes of gaining some new fans? Without purposely doing so, they're curating a generation of players who are influenced to think that highlight reel plays are the utmost important factor to reach success in basketball. So why wouldn't they try to emulate what they see every day? The message that we're sending to the next generation of hoopers isn't clear. These unreal highlights are few and far between, and with the growth of social media, gone are the days of watching the entirety of a basketball game, because back then there was no other way to do so. Instead of watching and learning the intricacies of a team's offense or defense, kids nowadays can just pull out their phone and within 30 seconds they've seen the best plays from the game's best players. The highlights come from playing the game the right way. They're supposed to come organically, not forced. These kids are a product of our environment and the culture that we've created today. This flawed approach to grow the game with viral highlights and disrespecting taunts towards your opponent went from landing you your 30 seconds of fame and a 10-minute segment on the news to creating a career that yields wealth for several generations. At times, highlight culture has proven to be the extra boost that a player needs. LaMelo Ball went viral for pointing at and then pulling up from the half-court line, and Zion Williamson blew up for his mind-numbing dunks. The culture created an energy and hype around these guys with the hope of seeing a highlight play whenever they're on the court. But they're more than just a highlight reel. They play defense, they hustle, and when the highlight comes, it's just a representation of the hours of hard work that they put into their fundamentals, allowing them to make these highlight reel plays that undoubtedly get more attention than the work that they put in off camera. But let's go back to the beginning, to a pioneer of highlight culture. Julian Newman. You've probably heard the name before. If not, you might have seen the meme of that 4'5" kid dribbling the ball like he's a crab and shaking his head 38 times per second. That kid, that's Julian Newman. Julian took the basketball world by storm with his flashy playstyle and limitless range as a starter for a varsity high school team, while he was in 5th grade, earning him appearances on the news, a Sports Illustrated segment, and many mixtapes. The world labeled this kid as a basketball prodigy with a near unanimous thought that one day he'd make the NBA. Since then, he's garnered over 670,000 Instagram followers, with fans impatiently waiting for his next highlight reel play. Despite the exposure and the hype around him, his basketball career didn't amount to anything. So what went wrong? Well, for starters, Julian didn't get promoted to a varsity high school team for his solid play. His father, Jamie Newman, was the head coach of that team, strategically creating an offense around his son similar to a 2018 James Harden. Give the ball to Julian, let him dribble the entire shot clock, and then launch a deep three. If he misses, it's because he's playing at a much higher level. It's not his fault. But if he makes it, that's where the magic happens. Julian knocking down the long ball or weaving through traffic with his dribbling is an instant highlight that gets posted all over social media, and the entire internet thinks that he's NBA bound. It creates a false sense of security for the Newman family. If their son is getting all of these views and attention from the basketball community, then they're given the perception that they're doing the right thing. But what the highlights don't show is basically everything else. Julian has extremely poor defensive skills and displays a lack of effort whenever the ball isn't in his hands. He's a ball stopper, a cracked out version of Michael Won't Swing the Rock Porter Jr., if you will. Instead of playing within the flow of the offense, which would give him and his team the best chance of winning, he goes for the viral home run clip. This so-called Newman system wasn't built to win games. It was built to create highlights, and so was their new schooling system. After Julian's junior year of high school, his dad created Prodigy Prep, an online schooling system where Jamie can handpick the team around his son, as well as the schedule that they were going to play, priding themselves on having the toughest schedule in the entire country. They matched themselves up against IMG Academy, Zion Harmon, and Marshall County. This blew up right in their face. They won one singular game, and their losses were by an average of 22 points, and the team has ceased to exist. Matter of fact, you could claim this team as your own if you wanted to. It was a complete failure. Or did it go exactly as planned? Julian got to face off against some of the best high school teams in the country, and when he did, it was posted all over social media, regardless if the team won or lost. They got their highlight. It also landed the Newman family millions of views on their reality TV show. That's right, they have their own show, similar to the Ball family, who also went down a similar path. But here's the difference. The Newmans were hunting for the golden highlight that'll net them millions of clicks while playing a forced style of basketball, while the Ball family played basketball to become the best, with hopes of one day making it to the league. And the highlights, views, and fame came naturally as a result of the work that they were putting in. The Newmans are the perfect example of highlight culture. In the era of social media, a highlight has been transformed from a way of viewing the game to the way that the game is played. The NBA isn't built on highlights. It's built off the fundamentals of the game. Well, half of that statement is true. The NBA is built on highlights. 1980s basketball blessed us with Magic and the Showtime Lakers, as well as the Celtics and Larry Bird's incredible shot-making ability. Highlights. The Chicago Bulls had control over 1990s basketball. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen soaring through the air, putting their nuts onto any defender's face in the paint. Highlights. The early 2000s had the Kobe and Shaq Lakers, a ridiculous amount of lobs, Kobe double-team fadeaways, and Shaq's personal beef with anyone who had the name Rim. Highlights. The late 2000s Lakers had Kobe's God-given athleticism and ridiculous fadeaways. The Miami Big Three gave us lobs, and more lobs. The Warriors dynasty had us thinking that we could launch contested threes 30 feet from the basket. Only the Warriors can do that. And now the flashy no-look passes give us an endless supply of highlights. See, the NBA is built on highlight reel plays, and those mentioned teams who gave us these memorable moments were winning championships in the process of creating plays that are etched into basketball history. The highlights neglect the little things done on the court that makes a team come together. Diving for a loose ball, making the right rotation on defense, passing up a good shot for a great shot. It's all been forgotten or ignored in search of that incredible play. Sure, the NBA is built on highlights, but highlights are built off fundamentals and elite understanding of the game. The emphasis on flashy highlights over the boring but impactful play is a disservice to the game of basketball and reduces the integrity of the game. A great play that goes viral creates a narrative that a player is playing at a high level, covering up lazy turnovers or bad defense that happened 3 possessions prior to the incredible highlight. The upcoming generation of hoopers turn a blind eye to the way the game is supposed to be played, instead substituting it with how they've been influenced to play through social media. It's something that Kobe Bryant had his eye on for years. Kobe had his fair share of highlight reel plays, but beneath the rim-rocking dunks and mid-range mastery is a guy who put in countless hours in the gym to work on his footwork and technique, and even more hours in the film room expanding his IQ for the game. In his final years in the NBA, Kobe began to realize that something was going on between European and American players. He states that Europeans are much more skillful and are taught how to play the right way from a young age, while American players who grew up through AAU basketball aren't taught how to play the game. So you wind up having big players bring up the ball and do all this fancy stuff without knowing how to post up. They don't know the fundamentals of the game. And his fix for this broken system? Teach players the game at an early age and stop treating them like cash cows for everyone to profit off of. This quote was from 2015. Kobe's keen eye for the game caught what most of us couldn't see: the early shift of highlight culture. Big players who want to bring up the ball and do all this fancy dribbling, we're witnessing what Kobe was talking about right now. Young players are made to play a certain style to create highlights and viral moments with the goal of profiting off what they could do on the court. And this younger generation has started to reveal itself in the NBA, making us question if they play for the love of the game or for the love of the lifestyle that comes with it. At the beginning of the video, I asked a question: is highlight culture ruining basketball? I honestly believe that it's too early to answer that question. Is the constant push for highlights and disrespectful taunts helping grow the game, or is it slowly diminishing the integrity of it? Larry Bird has a great quote.
And what I tell all these young players coming in today is keep the game the way you found it, and it can go on for generations to come. Thank you.
If the game that we have been accustomed to seeing grows into something unrecognizable from what it once was, then in that case, highlight culture will have ruined basketball.